Oh, good morning, everybody. I'm so very sorry that I can't be with you today. Up until yesterday afternoon, I was planning to be with you, and then sadly my cancer treatment demanded that I be at the Royal Marsden in London. So unfortunately, it is greetings from afar and a hastily recorded video. Chris, our Chief Executive, thought it might be informative if I spent a little time reflecting on my thoughts and experiences of the Cavendish, which of course includes my last 11 months as chair. If I look back 5 years ago, the Cavendish wasn't in my life at all. That is apart from an annual ball where, at the specific request from Gary Scotting, then of Gilder Group, I'd arranged for Lloyds Bank to take a table, and I have to say we always had a brilliant time. Then in 2014, my life took a rather interesting turn, and I joined the many thousands of people in Sheffield who became someone diagnosed with the dreaded C word. As you might expect, this had a pretty big impact, in particular for two reasons. Firstly, I was diagnosed probably 12 years too late, and so I faced a pretty dire prognosis. And secondly, I was diagnosed less than a month before I was due to get married to Vicky, which obviously was devastating for her when I summoned up the courage to tell her of my news and condition. At this time, the Cavendish came into my vision, but it really was on the peripheral of my vision, and it wasn't until I hit a fairly major crisis point in 2016 that I had my first proper interaction with the Cavendish. By way of background to that, as 2015 came to a close, and within 18 months of my diagnosis, I'd gone from a fairly fit and dynamic individual to someone who had lost 2 stones in weight, mostly muscle mass as a result of the hormonal treatment which I'd been prescribed. I'd lost the use of 1 kidney due to my cancer. I'd actually nearly died in the States from complete renal failure following a fairly routine minor op in the UK, which had gone wrong and ended up giving me a sepsis. I then suffered the fairly debilitating side effects of 6 months of intense radiation treatment. I then suffered total heart block and consequent near heart failure, which resulted in the fitting of an emergency pacemaker, again as a result of a medical intervention, in this case a drug designed to lower my testosterone level. And at an emotional level, I'd been told by my oncologist the year before that I was unlikely that I would see out 2015. And so, coming out of hospital in the first week of January 2016, I think it's fair to say that I wasn't in the best of shape. But I think here's the gist of the matter. I might not have been in great shape, but as any cancer sufferer will tell you, it's not the toll that it takes on you as the individual that hurts, it's what you see doing to your family and the loved ones around you. And so I found myself in February 2016 facing into this emotional turmoil, and at that time I turned to the Cavendish. And with the help of a number of counselling and writing sessions, and like so many other people that have been through the Cavendish's doors, I found myself being able to work through these issues and get myself back onto a stable footing. I think then fate lent a hand. I was planning on retiring at the end of 2016, and I was trying to put some kind of order to what I do post-retirement. During this period, I met Chris at a common purpose event, and it soon became very clear that here was a cause where I felt that I could make a difference. One thing led to another, and this time last year, I found myself briefly addressing this audience as the incoming chair. So, what are my thoughts of the Cavendish, having now been involved with as chair for almost a year? Well, there are a number of things that resonate. Firstly, it is immensely clear to me that the work that this charity does makes a massively beneficial difference to so many people on a daily basis who, like me, may have reached a point in their lives where they desperately need help. Secondly, it is equally, if not more so obvious, that the people who work for this charity and administer our treatments are so very highly skilled in their areas of expertise, and they have a very real care about the well-being of the people that come through our front door. I see this week in and week out not just from watching this happen in real time when I'm in the centre, but also from the feedback that we get from the people that use our services. It also has become very clear to me that there is a fantastic amount of energy and goodwill brought to this charity by all of the people that either work for the charity or give up the time to volunteer. This is evident through the way that we welcome and then deal with everybody that comes through our front door, through the fantastic efforts of our fundraising team, and this year the above and beyond effort of our property committee, whose relentless effort and diligence will shortly see the charity move into its new and much improved premises. If you then look what we do, we can be so very rightly proud of the fact that we treat over 1,600 people every year, and yet there remains such a significant unmet need across the Sheffield City region for what we have to offer. This is self-evident from the fact that for every one person that we help, there are another 30 that have yet to find a way to our door. It is also when you understand that of the 45,000 people who are currently living with this dreadful condition across our region, some 22,000 will cite depression and anxiety as being harder to cope with than the physical aspects of living with the cancer. And yet, whilst the NHS does such a very good job of treating the physical aspects of cancer, they are well behind the game line in having an adequate response to help people deal with this emotional fallout that afflicts nearly half of the people that they physically treat. This charity, of course, excels in this area, and so it seems to me there is a very real and a very as yet unsatisfied need for what we offer on a day-to-day basis, and indeed what we have built a 25-year legacy of excellence in. And so, when I reflect on all of this, it seems as clear as daylight to me there is so much more that we could and I think should be doing. I am of course acutely aware that we rely so heavily on the goodwill of donations to support the day-to-day activities of what we do, and that any expansion that we undertake must be on a sustainable footing. I'm also aware that there are many deserving charities in this region, all of whom are wanting a share of the public purse. But I know this also. I and my family have the unenviable opportunity to know what it's like to be told that you have cancer and that your life expectancy can be counted in months, not years. I also know of the follow-through consequence of that diagnosis: pain every day, hesitation in making future plans, my absence today being typical of what happens to me on a week-by-week basis, numerous hospitalizations for one emergency or another, a tremendous emotional challenge across my entire family group, and normality as me and my family know it, day by day, slowly sliding further and further south. You won't be surprised to hear, therefore, that I try to avoid watching anything at all cancer-related on television, but I couldn't avoid extracts from Alicia's Stand Up for Cancer story when last week my wife and I tuned into our end-of-week treat, which is Gogglebox. What struck me was that everybody on the Gogglebox sofas who watched that story was completely broken at the end of it. Heartbroken, speechless, tears running down their face. Why? Because most people, unless they are directly impacted, have no conception of what it means for a family unit to go through a cancer diagnosis. And when they do become aware of this through a communication that really hits the mark, they cannot help but be moved. So I know absolutely that if we at the Cavendish do our job well, and we reach out to the 1.3 million people who live in this region, and we articulate well the need and why it matters, then our cause will absolutely stand out as a deserving cause, and we shall undoubtedly get the support that we need. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to act as your chair. It is a real privilege for me to serve this charity. It's so very nice to have the opportunity to make a difference. And ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that this charity and the people that work for it or support it do that in spades.